This is my stop animation about the life of a frog. To start off, the ecosystem that we are generally focusing on today is a pond. Frogs are generally found at ponds because most of their life cycle depends on the wet area that the pond consists of. Have you ever seen a pond? Let's begin by observing this adult frog that lives in our pond. Like the plant that is growing inside of this pond, frogs feed off of this as their food. Frogs lay their eggs in water or wet places. A floating clump of eggs is called a frog spawn. The large and slippery mass of eggs are too big to be eaten. This is nature's way of protecting them, but the smaller clumps of eggs will be eaten by the creatures living near or in the pond. The eggs begin as a simple cell. Several thousands are sometimes laid at once. It becomes surrounded by a jelly-like covering which protects the egg. The female may or may not stay with the eggs to take care of the young after she has laid them. The egg slowly develops, but only a few develop into adults. Ducks, fish, insects, and other water creatures eat these eggs. After its 21-day development period, the egg leaves its jelly-like shell and attaches itself to a weed in the water. This quickly becomes a tadpole, a baby frog. The tadpoles grow until they are big enough to break free into the water. This can take from 3 days to 3 weeks, depending on what kind of frog they will become. They eat very small plants that stick to larger plants in the water. These tiny plants are called algae. The tadpole has a long tail and lives in the water. It is extremely vulnerable and must rely on its camouflage to protect it. After about 5 weeks, the tadpole begins to change. It starts to grow hind legs, which are soon followed with 4 legs. Behind their head bulges appear where their front legs are growing. Their tails become smaller. Their lungs begin to develop, preparing the frog for its life on land. Over time, the tadpole becomes even more frog-like. They have shed their skin and their lips. Its mouth widens and it loses its horny jaws. 11 weeks after the egg was laid, a fully developed frog with lungs, legs, and no tail emerges from the water. This frog will live mostly on land with occasional swims.